Aloha everybody, Kaiwaza with you. Welcome back to my channel, and today it's a Hawaiian record video. Imagine that. Haven't had one of those in a while, and I know people from time to time ask about it after I finished my series and offer these different ideas, and they're good ones and I will do them, but I had an idea today. Coming back from my walk this afternoon, my coronavirus daily allotment of walking outside, and I had this idea for a video, and I didn't want to give it any more thought than the original thought, because the original thought was like, that's a good idea. Okay, just put it out of your mind and go home and take a shower, and then do this video without really thinking about it. So here's the premise for me. It's kind of like one of those desert isle discs. So I have a huge Hawaiian record collection, about 2,500 records, Hawaiian, Exotica, and South Pacific. Looks like this. And so here's the idea. So we're saying, you know, it's zombie apocalypse time, whatever. Like, the gods have told me that in 15 minutes, all music is going to disappear from the face of the earth. All vinyl records will disintegrate. All CDs, all cassettes, any kind of hard copies of music will just dissolve. And even MP3 files and streaming services and music on YouTube and music everywhere will simply dissolve and cease to exist. That's going to happen in 15 minutes. But they're giving you a chance to save the 10 records from my Hawaiian collection that I personally can take with me into the future. And those 10 records will be the only music I ever have for the rest of my life. With 15 minutes to select them, what would I choose? So that's what this video is. And again, it's very personal to me. This is not a, you know, what 10 records would I select to preserve for the world, what is the best in Hawaiian music, or what I feel is the most representative or whatever. That's not what this is. More like a desert isle thing, and it's just, I'm going to have a record player in the future, and I'm going to have 10 records that I can play, and that's all that will exist in the world, are those 10 records. That's all I'll have. Which 10 do I choose? I don't know, because I've tried not to think about it. So I'm literally going to set a timer for 15 minutes and see what 10 records I come up with in 15 minutes. And let me preface it also by saying I won't include record albums that have, like, you know, 4 or 5 records in them in a set. That's sort of unfair because they have a lot more music, and I would probably naturally grab some of them. So they're out of the equation. It's only just single, you know, long play vinyl LP records. Which 10 would I select? So I'm going to set this timer for 15 minutes, and I'll catch you back in 15. Whew, okay, so I have my choices. Let me tell you, it was kind of interesting. I didn't have any trouble at the beginning. Like, I picked up to like maybe 8 or 9, like bam, 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 no problem. And then once I hit that 10 mark, I had 11 pulled out. And I spent about a good 7-8 minutes, I think, just torturing myself between, you know, which of these 11 to leave behind, because it was torturous to think of not having anything, you know, of leaving one of them behind, one of these 11. So I made a deal with God, and I said, God, give me 11, okay? What's one more? Give me 11, not 12, not 10, give me 11. And God said, yeah, it's cool. Take 11. That's good. So these are the 11 records I have. If I was given 15 minutes to pick out which 10, 11 records I would take with me into the future, and it would be the only music I would have for the rest of my life. Now, if you know me very well from watching any of my other recorded videos about my Hawaiian records, I'm a very sort of sentimental person and rather nostalgic, and as a result, I do find that I'm still very attracted to the records I liked as a child in my youth, you know, elementary school, junior high school, and through high school. my formative years. My grandfather had a lot of Hawaiian records, and I learned of many of them through him and started collecting them myself at a very, very young age. At like 5, 6 years old, I was starting to get Hawaiian records. So, and I had a really good childhood. I had a wonderful time with my family and all the older relatives, and I always knew in my head, I was thinking of, I would play these records and look into the backyard where there was a weeping willow tree out of my bedroom window and imagine that it was like swaying palm trees on an island. And I would play Hawaiian records at my grandparents in Pennsylvania and look out of the window, and their house was next to this very green mountain that I would imagine was the Ko'olau Mountains, and it did in fact look a lot like the Ko'olau Mountains. So I have, very positive feelings for a lot of the records that I had when I was younger, and I have continued to listen to all of them today. So I'm 58, and a lot of these records I'm showing you here are records I literally have been listening to for 50, 55 years. I still play them. So I guess in thinking of what I'm going to take forward for myself personally, not for the world, but for myself for the rest of my life, these are really most of these are really time tested to my personal taste that I have really positive feelings about. So let's look at them. That's enough. Number one, I love this record, Bill, and they're not in order. They're not in any sort of order. Sounds of Hawaii, Bill Wolfgram and His Islanders. I do love this cover, but let me also say that I have not chosen records based on their record cover. I love cover art. I'm really into it. It is part of the whole package, but this decision I just made not on the cover, so I don't want to really include that as why I would choose this record. But this is a steel guitar instrumental. Most of the records I chose are in fact steel guitar instrumentals. I really, really love it, and I had this record when I was younger and have had it all my life, and I really I just like it. I'm not going to say it's the greatest steel playing in the world or whatever, but I like the production. I like the songs. Okay, the next one, and I could talk about these records forever, so I won't. I'll try and make it quick. Halaloma at the Luau 400. Now, I love Halaloma. I could have picked any number of records by Halaloma because I have a lot of him, but I'm not going to take more than one by any one artist because that would be sort of tragic, as much as I might like to have a bunch of their stuff. So I picked this one. I could have easily grabbed another one, but I do like this one because it has a nice variety of really fast songs. Halaloma, I think, did really cool, jazzy, fast numbers, and this record has several of those. So this is the one I grabbed. Halaloma, one of my favorite steel guitarists. I love his jazzy attack style of playing steel. And interestingly, another steel guitar player that I love that I would take with me into the future has the exact opposite style, a very, very sad, sort of sweet, vulnerable sound. That is Sam Makia. This is Dreams of the Islands. It's been released under a couple of different titles and different labels, but my grandfather had this record, and then I eventually got a copy of it myself. I have a couple copies of it under different titles, but I love the steel guitar playing on this album. It's so sweet. And I could have picked any number of Halaloma, of Sam Makia records. He has a lot. But I picked this one because as a child, I loved the version of Sea Breeze. So sweet, so vulnerable. And as an adult, I really like Pa'ahana, his rendition of that, but the whole record is beautiful stuff. Yep, this one's going into the future. All right, now I know when I show this next one, I know people that are into real Hawaiian music from Hawaii by Hawaiian people and love steel guitar music as well, are going to cringe when I show you this, and you're going to go, oh, I'm going to lose some credibility here. It's like, I'm going to lose credibility. But this particular group gets criticized. I don't know, like again, I've been playing it all my life, exposed to it through my grandparents and then through my own, and it's a budget label recording. Hawaiian Paradise, the particular one I've chosen, Luke Leilani and his Royal Hawaiians. This album, basically with a few of the other songs, has been reissued and re-released a million times under different budget labels. So you can find it as many different groups, as many different names, different labels, all budget labels. But it's the real bouncy steel guitar group that did covers of songs like Steel Guitar Rag and Hawaiian War Chant and South Sea Island Magic, but they never called them by their actual names on all the records. They make up titles and whatever. But I do love this cover. It would be sad if I thought I could never see this cover again in my life. It would sadden me because I do love it. But yeah, I know. I'm sorry, I know. People criticize, steel players criticize this album as these guys as with very choppy steel guitar playing. I am not a steel guitar player, so I can't, I mean, I can play it, but not like expertly or professionally or anything like that. So I can't really speak to it on a technical level except to say I love it because it makes me feel good. And again, like this has been released under many different covers. Here's another one here, but it's basically the same music. Love it. Can't imagine life without it. Now I have to have some Exotica music also, and I think this one, the sounds of our Night on Exotic Island by the Surfmen, also released as Trade Winds Romance from Hawaii to Tahiti by the South Sea Serenaders, same album, different title, is probably, in my mind, the best Exotica album ever of anyone's. I'm including Martin Denny, Lex Baxter and everyone. To me, this is just such a great, such a classy album, and beautiful arrangements that are very jazz sort of oriented. I love this album. I can listen to it a million times and I can't imagine life without it. Yeah, this one is definitely going with me into the future. Okay, here's another one, steel guitar instrumental album. Yeah, my neighbors in upstate New York, the DeCipios, had this record, and I used to borrow it, and then much later on in life when I moved here, I was able to get a copy myself. Not one, not two, 3 steel guitars on this one. Music of the Islands, the Mauna Loa Islanders. I love every single thing about this record, including the cover, but that's not why I picked it. I just love the music on this album as well. The arrangements. They did a follow-up album, Mauna Loa Islanders, with a different sort of production crew or whatever, and kind of similar arrangements, but didn't have all the reverb and atmospheric influence that this album is just fabulous, and that one was just okay. This is definitely desert island material for me. Cockeyed Mare of Kaunakakai, Little Brown Gal, On the Beach at Waikiki, Hawaiian Hospitality. So many songs on here I love their rendition of. Again, I can listen to this record over and over and over again, and I can't imagine not hearing it again. Cannot imagine that. Now here's one. This group is from Belgium, Hawaii Beach Party, and I'm showing you this, but it's actually not one of my picks. It was initially, but I pulled it out because, let me explain. This is a record I had since I was a kid. Love this record. Love the Waikikis. I have gotten, I think there might be one, well, I know there's one album of theirs I don't have that I discovered recently, but I think I have almost everything, like a dozen or more records from them. They are from Belgium. Love them. They are the people that did the song Hawaii Tattoo, which actually broke into the American Top 40 and was a big pop hit in Europe. But love their music. But recently I discovered an album by not other people, but they're steel guitarists, and I'm assuming some of the same members that were in the Waikikis, did a an album on their own later by a different group. And so I put this one aside as much as I didn't like to, and got this one that I got just a couple of years ago. Pulled this one, Dreams of Hawaii, or Dreaming of Hawaii, something like that, by the Hawaiian Paradise Band. It's exactly, sounds, and I do mean exactly, it sounds exactly the same as the Waikikis. And the reason I'm taking this one instead of a Waikikis album is that it sounds just like them. I love them, but I haven't heard this record for like 50 years, you know, playing all the time. I've only had it a couple of years, so I will have at least one record that I'm not so familiar with that I know every single, you know, every single piece of the music. But as I said, they sound exactly the same as the Waikikis. Exactly. It's probably mostly the same people. Another steel guitar instrumental album, Hawaiian Guitars, Malakova and the Trade Winds. I don't know the identity of these people. My grandfather had this record. I ended up getting more than one copy of it because I wore out the other one. Don't understand exactly what's on the picture, but I love it. They did a couple of albums, and I could just have easily have chosen the second album I have from them, but I picked out this one to take with me because on this one, I think the version of Hawaiian War Chant is one of my favorite versions of all time that they do, and I just love everything on this record. I love there's 3 steel guitars on it. I think it's all Billy Muir, doing all 3 steel guitars. I think, not 100% sure, but it really sounds like it. Fabulous record. Okay, here's one of only 2. Yeah, I only have 2 records that have any vocals on them. This is a 49th state Hawaii record. This one's called Hawaiian Hospitality. Now, I probably, and it needs to be rinsed off and washed, but for sure. My grandfather had this record, and he had several other 49 state records. I've kind of gotten into them and gotten as many of them as I can, and I have most of their albums now, if not all of the Hawaiian albums, and I could have picked different ones, but I just picked this one, and there are a number of other ones I could have picked because it was half-half. It's half instrumental, which is Benjamin Rogers with the steel guitar, with the Harmony Isles group. I love that sound. It's a real iconic sound, the vibes and the steel guitar together doing these old songs. And then the other half is vocals, and the 49th state had great vocals, you know, some by Genoa Keawe. This is all by Julia Luis Kama'ainas, but great old vocals. And, you know, rather than just being all vocal or all instrumental, as some of the records are, I would grab one, this one, or one of the others. That was a half-half instrumental, half vocal record to take. Again, yeah, I just can't imagine going the rest of my life without hearing that. Here's number 10, Exotic Sounds of Hawaii, Milt Raskin. Another one that you may think, oh, why would you pick that as one of your 10? I had this record as a child, great memories of it, great feelings associated with it. I don't suppose it's the greatest Exotica album ever, but I'm not really objective about it. I have a lot of great emotional connection with this record. I love it. I've always loved it, and to this day, I'll still, you know, play this record in its entirety from time to time. I want this record to keep me company going forward. Okay, so the 12th, or 11th one rather, I just couldn't, I couldn't eliminate one. Hawaii Calling the Polynesians. The Polynesians vocal group I love on the budget label Crown. Again, lots of positive associations from my childhood with them. I could have picked any record really by the Polynesians, but I picked this one because I do especially love that it has a couple of numbers with Marie Tarangi from Tahiti on it, and their version of Yellow Ginger Lay on this record is so beautiful, and I just generally enjoy this album, but I like all the Polynesian albums. And you're probably saying, well, you're kind of copping out because you're not doing them in any order or not just picking one. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tell you number 1. If I only had 60 seconds to grab one record to take into the future, which one would I take? And some of you are going to cringe and die, but I would take this one. I know it's choppy steel playing, yada yada, say whatever you want to say about it. I could just say I have great associations with it. I love the music on this record. I love that it's all kind of jazzy and they're jumping around. To me, music is much more of an emotional thing, and to me, these people sound like they're having fun. And it puts me in a good mood when I hear this. It's just like visions of, yeah, let's just, watch those grass skirts swing and have a pineapple drink, and we're the coolest things ever, like sitting out under the palm trees and all of that. Like, it just has that kind of a vibe to me. I love it. So if I only had one record that I could listen to the rest of my life, I would take this one. Yeah. I know, I'm gonna lose some serious cred here. Serious street cred. Sorry. Thanks for watching.